The Keatingstown Development's Formula Vee Festival has attracted an enormous entry of almost 50 cars. And there's a lot of interesting new shapes in the paddock, as many of the top English drivers have made the trip. This poses a bit of a problem for some of the Irish racers.
The festival is a big day. It's a special occasion where you have the chaps over from England with their higher spec cars and that, and you try and give them a run if you can, but it's kind of hard unless it rains because they've about a second and a half a lap on us.
And what is the difference in the spec?
They're a 1300, but it's a full race engine, whereas ours is 1600 mildly tuned, and it leaves them much quicker.
So on pole position there we have Ray Moore, who gets off to an excellent start. Now some of these cars are English spec and some of them are Irish spec, so we really need to watch out. John Randall, number 81, however, leads, and Pat Duffy in the Irish spec car in there in second place. They shouldn't be as quick as the English. Moving on to lap 6, we see that is soon sorted out. Serrano there moves up into second place. There's Pat Duffy, who's engaged in quite a struggle now for third.
Yes, a long time no see. Paddy hasn't been out on a spinner there. Number 67, James O'Reilly. Number 12, Ronan Byrne. Ronan getting away, but James being delayed. This is something he doesn't need in the semi-finals. Where you finish now is where you start the final. But up front it's still hot and heavy. And remember, a spinner there, number 18, just misses the end of what I would call brain white. Just missing the end of Greenland's Bank, as it'll be known from now on. But look at Ray Moore, the way he just slide and drift this car through, and he's way out front on his English visitor. That's number 87, that's Serrano, but don't forget these are the semi-finals. Randall's in third place, maybe just holding off, and in fourth place Pat Duffy, a return driving the Shane, in 95 Shane. And these lot will all go through to the final and will line up on the grid as they finish here. And remember, this is only the first of two semi-finals, so we have another one to go. So it's more from Andres Serrano, John Randall, Pat Duffy, and then Frank Byrne.
And on the second semi-final, off they go, and this time it's more of an Irish affair, because on the inside we've got Brian Hearty in the Shane, and on the outside in the Leastone, just borrowed it for the day, Padraig Owens. He doesn't fit in that car very well, and then some of the English visitors.
Yes, and one of the real quick guys, the man who's giving Moore a hard time in the championship, Lash McCall. Sounds like somebody from Texas. Oh, and a spinner there, two of them way out. And that's really grass tracking as they bounce off the curbs there and get themselves back on. But again, semi-final time, it's not the time to be going off the grass. You need a good position to finish for the final. Up front it's Hearty from Padraig, as Alan said. Another man like Pat Duffy, who hasn't driven, a very big lad, Padraig, couldn't really fit into the car. And at one stage this morning was actually leaning across underneath his right arm to change gear with his left hand. So that's a feat I'd love to see, but not sitting beside him. And look at this, we're battling down there. 5 is John Mahon, not up nearly as well as he should be. Normally John is up there fighting with the leaders, but Owens at the moment using that outside line, just trying to get that last few inches on the Hearty, and a good battle there for second place.
Well, third place actually, it's Paul Newport, number 9 there. Then Fergus Brennan, 34, has just slipped ahead of him. Martin Thomas is in that one, and Steve Cooper, number 85. But we're back with the leaders. And Hearty there, under the most immense pressure from Padraig Owens, a multiple champion, both of them multiple champions. Here's the battle for third. And at the moment, it's Fergus Brennan going extremely well, and Paul Newport in the red car. But we're switching backwards and forwards. And just look at this, Brian. Formula V racing at its very, very best.
Yes, this is what one-make racing should be, in the sense, when I say one-make, I mean a single-seater class, restricted, whatever. You've got two guys there, two different makes, two Irish chassis, but they are really fighting and battling away. And the third place man wouldn't have the experience that these two have. Fergus Brennan, who went away from Ireland for a while, made his fortune, has come back and got into the V's, very active in the Marshals Club at one stage, and he's driving a superb third place. And remember, that's third for the final, third on the road, and that's all important, because if you don't make the final in the first 3 rows, your chance of winning it slim. But there's number 4 there, which is Padraig Owens, a little black nose in the car to give us an idea, because the way it's going at the moment, we're going to have 2 of these Leastones in the first 4 for the final.
Actually, yes, and of course this is the battle of the Irish manufacturers, because David Shane, who builds the Shane cars, who dominated this class throughout the years, would be very proud to see the way Hearty's going. And of course the Leastone car, a much newer machine, is not only doing very well in Ireland but doing very well in England with Ray Moore, who's been winning over there and leading championships. So Padraig Owens finding a way. Now, the philosophy of getting into the final is important. These two will not want to put each other off. They won't want any damage in the car. They want a good result here to get on the front row of the grid for the final, but they will not want any damage. And consequently, they're very much playing the semi-final game at the moment.
Well, Brian Hearty would like to be on the front row, and that's where it is. This young man from Dundalk and the McChrystal Shane. He's not just going to let Padraig Owens go by, but he won't want to damage the car, but to be on the second row. Ray Moore, major problem for him. He would like to be up there on the front row, and it's whoever has the quickest semi-final as well will decide pole position. Owens going down that outside, but it's a long way around, and Hearty's been through all this before. Just down the straight, Owens will get alongside him as well. They're coming through the S's now as they head up the hill to Dunlop. We've jumped ahead to lap 7, but you can see that the battle is still royal for this is first position. And Brennan at the moment, a little breather from John McMahon, and a good drive still from Fergus Brennan in third place.
And moving back down to about 6th or 7th place, another little battle going on. Steve Cooper going through picture, then Dickinson, the sponsor today, and then we have 57 Oliver Burke, and he's in battle with Hugh Maguire, and that's typical Formula V racing at its very best. No quarter given whatsoever, as the 1600cc Formula V being Formula Volkswagen, of course, all Volkswagen suspension, Volkswagen parts, and 1600 Volkswagen engines. That's in the Irish versions.
43 there, Hugh Maguire in the TNT Express. We're back up the front again. We can see what he's at. We're on the last lap as they just dive through. And still holding on, keeping as far over as possible there, Brian Hearty, to make it a long way around for Owens. And once you get out there, very evenly match these two cars through the left-hand. Is there anything Owens can do? But remember, we've seen him alongside for a number of occasions on the straight. Can he get far ahead? Would it be possible for him to pip him on the straight? He can get up the outside of the corner, just like we saw Michael Cullen do, and come out in a slingshot. But rather than go for the inside, he goes for the outside and tries to get alongside Hearty, keeping that door closed a little bit more than he needs to be. Wheels on the grass. Again, a long way around the outside of the S's. But watch this, the move coming up to Dunlop.
Both these drivers from really the heartland of Formula V racing, that's Meath and Louth and all around that area, and down the inside, Hearty defending his line there on the inside of Dunlop, and Padraig Owens trying to get the slingshot as he comes down the hill for the last time. He might just have it, Brian.
Yes, I think he just came out that little bit quicker. It's only going to be by a nose, and by a nose it is. And will it be Brennan in third place? Fergus Brennan, we look for him to with a superb big smile there from Padraig, but let's hope this man buys a car and comes back in. But that's the way it was. It was Owens from Hearty, from Lash McCall, Martin Thompson and Paul Newport. The survivors of the two Keatingstown development semi-finals now line up for the 15-lap final, and the Irish made Leastone's block out the front row of the grid. Ray Moore's car is in the English spec, whereas Padraig Owens' Organics machine is 1600 Irish spec. That's the front row of the grid, and behind them, Serrano on the second row and Hearty on the second row, but who will be first into Coca-Cola? It looks as if it's definitely going to be Moore, and look at Serrano really trying down the inside, locking wheels on the yellow car on the outside. There's McCall come up from the third or fourth row.
Lash McCall, what a name for a motor racing driver. It's really superb. But it's Ray Moore in the lead, Padraig Owens in second place, and the Irish hearts are dancing as the Leastones lead this pack out into the country for the first time. Ray Moore in the 1300cc version, and of course Padraig Owens in the 1600cc version, and then Hearty, and then off in the background, Lash McCall. One lash too far, I think.
Honestly, all these, he lashed the bank and he lashed the stand, but there's nothing more about these two, there's nothing he can do about them, because out front it is Moore. Three Irishmen, Moore from Owens, from Hearty, the Dundalk man sitting in third place, and the first of the Shanes. So who will it be as they head up? And in the background there, the first of the English visitors, Serrano in the Predator, that evil-looking machine. And who is this? Pat Duffy up the magic inside, but just got it a little bit too late and loses back those two places.
So game 2 lost 2 there for Duffy, I'm afraid, on that one. We're slipping ahead to lap 3. And Ray Moore's pulled out a bit, but look at these 3 side by side and a tangle. And I'm afraid Padraig Owens has missed out on that one. That's John Randall, very lucky to miss him. Here we see it again.
Just touches a wheel there. Owens starts to lose it on the inside, gets it all wrong, spins it. Very lucky indeed there, Serrano, to miss out, and John Randall's just going around the outside. Good driving from all the drivers, but this leaves Ray Moore just out on his own now. Can Hearty do anything about him?
9 laps of the 15 laps, and there's Hearty now, not nearly as close as we saw one of the semi-finals, but of course we've got to remember that Hearty's car is in Irish specification, and really he doesn't have much of a hope against this, but it's great sporting stuff in V's, so they all race together in the festival. So there's Brian Hearty, surely one of the most successful club racing drivers in Ireland. He also races in Formula Ford, and here's our leader Ray Moore, who's been setting the English circuit ablaze in Formula Ford this year, and wonderful to see it all happening in an Irish chassis. So the Lee Stone leads the Shane at the moment as they go out into the country.
Hearty there, number 1, as he moves down into the back of the circle. Rice and Roddy on the side of the car. They're Renault dealers in Dundalk, L4. There's not much room for anything more on that, but plenty of support for this man from the back. And look at Duffy back on the tracks, just beginning to learn all the old tricks. In fact, I don't think he's ever forgotten them. John Randall just doesn't know what he's up against this man. A great Formula 4 driver, has always been involved with the lads in the V's, and a great supporter of Padraig Owens, who spun off earlier in this race.
And that rather evil looking thing there, the black car, just third in your picture at the moment is Serrano in the Predator. Very different looking machine. Of course, different rules in England, allowed different wheels apart from anything else. And there, John Randall, number 81, and another, the rather unusual sort of American-born design, these, as they come down the straight, and he's going to move up one. He's trying to go on the outside and get across. I think he's going to be successful as they go down into Coca-Cola.
Yes, just does it. It's a long way down that outside. That was Byrne, I think it was, number 36, Frank Byrne, who we just nipped by. And again, number 30 nipping through there. But what can Duffy do about this lot? They're now going spreading. Look at Owens in the green car. Remember, he spun off from 53 there. That's Dag. He just got a wheel on the grass just as they come up the hill. But all of that has been caused by that Padraig Owens. He just drives left, right, and they're not expecting a car that quick to arrive amongst them or break that late, and poor Dag was caught out by Owens. But there's our leader and our second place man.
And this is the new battle for third place. That's Thompson, who's gained down under great pressure. Serrano there, the third car, has dropped back. Randall is moving up as everybody else gets adversity. But the battle on really with Duffy now, trying to challenge for third place at the moment from Thompson.
Serrano and John Randall, the start of our English visitors, they're fighting away at the moment for fifth place. That's them in the background there. But look at this. Will it? Duffy still looking up that inside. Will he get away? He does. Will he run wide like he did before? Slightly out, but Thompson is wide to that move. Now he's side by side. Who has the quicker car for the drag to Coca-Cola? It looks like Thompson has it. And remember, this is for third place.
Pat Duffy, who used to be a Formula Ford 2000 and indeed Formula Ford 1600 star, took racing very seriously about 10 years ago. Now just makes the odd appearance, but obviously he's lost none of it. Lost it a little bit there on as he went up on the grass that time. An intense battle between these three. Serrano coming up to challenge now the Predator, and Randall just looking at all this, and Serrano just kind of turn in between these two. It's not going to work. It didn't work. He and Duffy are off, and Randall inherits 2 places.
Fortunately, just trying the long way down the outside. Nobody's fault. I think it was just everybody trying to grapple for that little bit of tarmac and everybody wanting it at the same time. But there's no doubt here, this man at the moment having the easiest final. He couldn't believe his luck in the mirrors to see Padraig Owens being spun out. But these two men haven't given up yet. They are still fighting, don't forget. They are looking now at Thompson's rear with Pat Duffy gone out, and with Serrano, and Randall now feels that he will be carrying the flag for England.
So the first 3 really spread out now, and here comes the leader Ray Moore, and he's had tremendous success in England, and really his first season to contest the British Championship, won the British Championship round here yesterday at Mondello Park against all the opposition, and is really just on his home ground and on his own here in terms of talent, machinery and everything else. The Dubliner coming up the hill now with really just taking a little glance in his mirror, wondering where Brian Hearty is. Brian Hearty just about 2 or 3 seconds behind him at the moment as they head down along the long straight. to the checkered flag. And a superb win there by Ray Moore. Brian Hearty in second place, but who's going to be third? And it looks it's Randall going to be third, so there's been another little schmozzle there. John Randall comes round the corner in this rather ancient Cayman car to take third place.
Third place and the first of the visitors on a super V weekend here at Mondello. So it's Moore from Hearty, from Randall, Frank Byrne up into good fourth, and fifth, Matt Dunn, who we didn't see much of during the race.
Well, Ray, you've done in Ireland what you've been doing in England all year.
Yeah, I was very happy. Yeah, I got a reasonably decent start and I got away, and I was looking at the rain. I thought it was going to rain, and my tyres eventually went off, but I was afraid of Brian coming. I could see him coming at the end, and I just held on.